Self-improvement is one of the most exciting journeys you can take. When you first get into self-development, everything feels so electric. Suddenly you have so much clarity around everything that you want to do with your life. Who you want to be, how you want to live, what your future could look like. You start developing this dream, this picture in your mind of the kind of person you see yourself becoming, the kind of life that you see for yourself. For me, I remember when I first got into self-development, it was April of 2020. I instantly bought all the bestsellers. I started subscribing and listening to all the self-help podcasts and YouTube channels. I just dove headfirst into this whole world of self-improvement and self-development, and everything just felt so right. It felt like I had so much clarity for the first time in my life about like what it is I should do and what it is I should pursue. It really felt like my life was going down the right path. And as you continue to read all the right books and you listen to all the right podcasts and you watch all the right videos, you start building better habits, you start becoming more disciplined. And slowly over time, you really do start to see the positive effects that investing in yourself and bettering yourself has on all these different areas of your life. As you continue to grow, as you continue to take action, as you continue to learn, you really do start to see like, holy crap, like I am actually a better version of myself than I was a few months ago. And that is an incredible feeling, like a really addicting feeling. You just want to continue growing. You want to continue bettering yourself. And it's honestly like, it's thrilling. If you're listening to this, you probably have felt something similar. Maybe you're going through something similar right now. Maybe this YouTube channel or this podcast is a podcast that you are listening to as you start your self-development or self-improvement journey. So when you're in this mindset and you're experiencing this, everything feels fantastic. Everything feels amazing. And it may feel this way for a while. You may experience this for a number of months. You may experience this for a number of years even. I know for me personally, when I think back on my like self-development, self-improvement journey, obviously the goal is to improve every single day. But when I think back on just like my journey getting into self-development and self-improvement, I felt like this for a number of years. And it only really started becoming more apparent to me recently that over time, there is this subtle shift that starts to become very apparent. The same self-improvement that you're going through and experiencing that once felt incredibly liberating and incredibly freeing becomes heavy. It starts to feel heavy and it starts to feel like a burden. The more content you consume, the more self-development and self-improvement content you consume, slowly over time, the more you start comparing yourself. The more you start comparing yourself to others, the more you start comparing yourself to some imaginary future of a better version of you, some perfect version of yourself. And that can all start to negatively impact the way that you see yourself. You start asking yourself, I'm always improving, but why? Like for who? Like what am I trying to prove? What is the goal here? Is this just this endless cycle of consuming self-help and self-development content just because? Am I really making the progress that I thought I was making? Because suddenly, like over time, again, this is something that happens gradually, improvement doesn't just become about growth. It starts to become more about proving your worth, doing things to start to earn your worth. It becomes about earning validation, and it becomes more about trying to fix yourself because you don't feel enough as you are now. You chase this ideal version of yourself, this perfect version of yourself. And no matter how much progress you make, it never feels like enough. And that's the trap of self-improvement or self-development. That's the trap that a lot of people fall victim to when it comes to their self-development or self-improvement journey. Self-improvement, self-development starts to become self-rejection disguised as motivation or disguised as growth, progress. And I'm really not trying to say that like self-improvement or self-development is bad when I say like, why am I doing this? When you start asking, why am I doing this? When you ask yourself those questions, it's just asking what's the driving force behind the improvement. Healthy improvement is when you want to grow, you want to get better, you want to improve because you respect yourself. You want to express more of yourself. You want to express more of your true self. That's healthy improvement. But on the flip side of that, unhealthy improvement is when you just genuinely do not feel enough as you are, and the actions that you take or the growth that you're seeking becomes a way to earn your worth. When you are approaching your self-development from this mindset, a lot of the common thoughts that I feel like you may have or may have experienced, and this is something that, again, I've experienced. That's why I'm sharing it, to hopefully help somebody. A lot of the thoughts you may experience or think are thoughts of like, I'm not enough as I am and I need to reach this goal in order to feel enough. If I'm not improving, I'm falling behind. I need to fix myself in order to deserve X feeling, happiness, joy, fulfillment, love, peace. This kind of improvement turns into self-rejection disguised as growth and motivation and discipline. So the danger here isn't in the self-development or isn't in the self-improvement alone. Like, that stuff is great. It's just your mindset approaching these topics. It's your mindset behind it. Something that I've noticed myself do as I've continued to grow and take action towards my goals and just like gotten more into self-development and self-improvement, as I've continued to listen to all the podcasts and watch all the videos and read all the books, I look over and I see people who are just living their everyday lives, people that don't obsess over self-development or self-improvement. They still have a desire to grow. They still have a desire to get better and improve, but they aren't reading every single book. They don't feel like they're missing out if they don't watch this video or consume this podcast or consume this creator. And to be honest, they just seem happier. They just seem like they're enjoying more of life. There's no pressure to grow. They just seem more grounded. They grow because life naturally asks them to. Just like everyone, these people make mistakes. They may fall flat on their face. They may face challenges, and they go through things that require them to grow and require them to evolve. And they do all these things without turning it into a constant performance. These people, they pick up a book and they read when they feel like it, when they want to learn something, and they enjoy it. They learn what they learn. They learn what matters. They take a valuable gem out of the book that they're reading. They apply it to their life. They improve, and then they move on with their life. They aren't stressing or overanalyzing or experiencing all this anxiety because they aren't getting every single nugget of value from each book that they read. The growth and the progress they experience feels natural. They aren't forcing it. This doesn't mean that it's effortless. Of course, they may still put in work and effort to grow and evolve and get better, but it just feels more organic. It just feels more natural. They aren't stressing and overanalyzing every single thing that they're doing, and again, making it feel like a performance. Things don't feel forced because they aren't chasing outcomes. They're just living their life, going with the flow. And I think the most important thing here is coming to the realization and learning that when you approach self-development and self-improvement from a place of wholeness instead of lack, your life will change. Self-development and self-improvement should come from a place of care, from love, from curiosity, not from a place of fear, not from a place of guilt, not from a place of comparison. The joy and the happiness and the peace that you're seeking aren't always found in that next best version of you. It's not always found in working harder to become that next best version of you. Sometimes they're found in slowing down enough to realize that you're good as you are, that you've always been enough, that you are never broken, and that you can simply grow and choose to improve and get better and focus on progress just because you care about yourself, not because you have to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to measure your worth by how many books you read or how many self-development or self-improvement podcasts you listen to. You don't need to criticize yourself for being human and maybe slipping up from time to time and missing a part of your routine. Don't feel guilty if instead of going hard 24/7, you slow down and you just give yourself time to recover and rest. Don't make self-improvement this constant competition with yourself. You're good as you are. Try your best every single day. Of course, growth is important. You should care to grow. You should care to get better. But stop turning it into a performance. You are good as you are. You are enough as you are. You don't need to earn your worth to yourself. Hope you got some value from listening to this. Thank you so much for being a part of everything that we're building here at Presence of Being. I hope you are having an amazing day wherever you are listening to this. If you want to support what we're building, leaving a like, commenting, subscribing. If you really enjoyed this, leaving 5 stars on Spotify or Apple would mean a lot. Go to presenceofbeing.co if you want to grab a hat. I appreciate you listening. See you in the next recording soon.